Hello and welcome back. In this practical walkthrough, we are going to write code for our user interface for the command and control server. So before that, we need to add one event handler for the form 1. So click on form 1 and then click on the event icon and scroll down to shown. Double click on it to insert the form 1 shown event handler and then click on save. Then go and download a file, form1.txt file from the resource section. And then just copy the entire content of this file and overwrite the content over here. Make sure the namespace is the same, command control server. So just copy everything, select all and overwrite. You will notice our code is very sleek because most of the detailed functionality implementation has been factored out into separate files. As I've explained in the previous lessons, we are going to create multiple files, each file for a very specific functionality. Like this, we have the basic class for implementing the basic commands, the remote desktop class for the remote desktop functionalities, and the remote keylogger class for implementing the keylogging functionalities. So our form 1 class is only a placeholder for all the other calling the other classes. This is a very good design paradigm for software development. It makes your code easy to manage and also maintain. And because of that, you will see that the other classes have not been implemented. That's why it's underlined in red color. So you can see there are 3 types of classes: remote desktop, remote keylogger, and basic class. So we need to implement those 3 before this error will go away. So those 3 classes matches our plan here. The basic class is found in basic.cs. The remote desktop class is remote desktop.cs. The remote keylogger class is remote keylogger.cs. Now we're going to add those classes. To add those classes to the command control server project, first you select the project itself and then you right click on it and then you scroll down and look for the add button and then select the class here. So you're going to add a class. So give a name for the class. The first class we are going to add is called the basic class. So we'll name it basic accordingly. And then click add. Now you can see that a new class, a new file has been added called basic.cs. After you have done that, go and download the basic.txt file from the resource section. And make sure your namespace is correct, command control server. So just copy everything from this file and select everything here and override it. Then save it. Now head over back to form 1 and you can see the error for basic has gone away. So we'll do the same thing for remote keylogger and remote desktop. So go and download the file for remote desktop called remote desktop text. And then again confirm that the namespace is the same as your namespace, which is command control server. And then create a new file here, right click, add class. And for this one we call it remote desktop. Then go and download this file called remote desktop from the resource section. Make sure that the name is the same, the class, the namespace is the same. Then just copy everything from here, select this all and override it by pasting it in. Then you can save it. Now when you head back to the form 1, you will see the error for remote desktop has disappeared. Now we'll do the last one, remote keylogger. So let's create a new file, add class, and call it remote keylogger. And then go and download the remote keylogger text file. Confirm the name is the same, and then select everything from here and overwrite the contents here, and then save. Now you head back to the form 1 class and you see the error for remote keylogger has gone away. So we have fixed everything that we need for form 1. Now let's go to remote desktop and fix all this. You see the grade one is not being used, so you can just delete it. Then this one is we need to fix, so we just click on it. Alright, we need system runtime remoting. So for that, we need to add the remoting reference by going to reference, add reference, and then scroll down to look for system runtime remoting. Click OK, and that goes away. TCP channel, click on port junction fix. We need to use system runtime remoting channel TCP. So double click on that and it goes away. And then this one we need to using remoting. So just show potential fix. Alright, so we need to insert a using statement. Using remoting interface. And then for this, we need to add it to the reference under projects, remoting interface, click OK, and it should go away, and error here also goes away. So we have fixed that for remote desktop. Save everything. Now we go and check the remote keylogger, see if there's anything we need to fix. Nothing. So we can remove the unused grade color libraries, keep our code simple and neat. So now I shall explain how the code works. So the button, there are 4 buttons. When you click on each of these buttons, you will trigger the corresponding button 1, button 2, button 3 and button 4 click handler. So these event handlers will now call the basic 1 button click function in the basic class. So the basic class is over here. So the basic class implements the detailed instructions. So the button 1 click is here, button 2 is here, button 3 and button 4. So this makes our code very neat. We just call the basic class functions rather than put the detailed implementation here and messes up the whole file. So the functionality is exactly the same as what we did before. The only difference now is we put out the implementation in a basic file over here like this. And then for the remote desktop capture, we also call it from the remote desktop class. So the remote desktop class has got a function called init remote desktop over here. So all this thing does is to implement the remoting functionality which we have seen before. and then it has these parameters which is passed in from here. So we need to pass the text box, picture box and toolstrip to this class so that the class can have access to them. So when we pass these parameters to this class through the init remote desktop function, it is received here and then saved locally in these local variables tb3, picbox and tsl, which is declared here. So once you do that, all these text boxes, picture box and toolstrip status can be used by this class. Then the rest of the code is the same like what we did before, so no difference there. Now the last one is remote keylogger. Remote keylogger is called from here. So it calls the remote keylogger init keylogger and passes these parameters for the same reason as what I have discussed for this function. So these parameters are received by remote keylogger over here and saved locally to these parameters. And then the buttons are all implemented here as well. So if you go and check out the remote desktop buttons and keylogger buttons, they are all passed through this init and init here. So when you pass through this init here, you are passing all the buttons as well to the remote function, to this function. So this function will have access to your buttons because you pass it here and you save it locally. So you can see here, the buttons are implemented here. So for capture desktop, it just captures and save it to a file. For stop client, you just put the command into a file. So the principle is the same as we did before in the previous sections. The only difference now is our code looks very neat because we have already abstracted out the functionality to separate files, and our form 1 looks very clean, uncluttered and easy to read. So in future, if you want to change any functionality, you just go straight to the basic, the remote desktop or the remote keylogger and change your functionality there. So now make sure it's release build, save everything and click on build remoting. Okay, before you can build for this form, you need to select the form object here and then click on build command control server and make sure there are no errors here. Build succeeded. So that completes our section for coding for the command control server. Thank you for watching.